All right, Catalyst community, are you ready for our book list of the year? Now, just clarification, those of you who follow us for a while, you know what we're doing with this list every year. This is not new books. It might be, but it's not meant to be new books. These are the books that help you to be a catalyst in the most effective way in the year going forward. So, books that will help you enhance your own life and improve your community and your world. I'm Dr. Bradford Cooper with the Catalyst Coaching Institute, and our very first book out of the gate is Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. Now, does this have some great stories? Is it going to be entertaining for you? Sure, but that's not why it's on the list. There are plenty of books like that. The reason this is on the list is because of the concept of green lights. He brings to the forefront how we can utilize this idea of green lights in our own lives. As you read this, you're going to start recognizing green lights in your own life, opportunities to move forward that maybe you didn't recognize before. So that's why it's there. Powerful start, great way to get your year going as you move into the new year. Now the second book builds on that. It is Seth Godin's What to Do When It's Your Turn. And by the way, it's always your turn. So green lights brings them to mind. It brings them to attention. It allows you to see and tune into your opportunities, your green lights. And then Seth comes along and says, okay, so you've seen the opportunity. Now what are we going to do about it? So that's number two. You all know I'm a huge Seth Godin fan. This is one of his best. The third book I actually don't have to show you, but we'll have a link to a free PDF. It's by Julian Smith and it's titled The Flinch. It's available free online. And you're like, Brad, show us a book. I can't, but I can get it to you for free. And what it does is it builds on Seth Godin's step of, okay, you got the green lights recognized, now you start to move forward. It's new, so you're gonna flinch. Well, what do you do then? And Julian walks us through what to do to limit the negative effects of that flinch. So those are our first three. They go very well together. I'd encourage you to read them in that order, and they really flow nicely in terms of setting you up for a great year. Now I'll take a little shift here. Our next one, many of you know I did my PhD in Europe, and I realized as I was going through that, I don't have a clue of the history. I need to tune in a little bit here. And so I was looking for a book on basically a short book on the history of Europe, and I found a book titled The Short History of Europe. And you're like, yeah, really, Brad? No, seriously, it's really well written. It's exactly what I was looking for. It's still lengthy, it's about 400 pages, but he does a very good job of walking through from about 2500 BC to essentially current time, and shows how one thing flows into another, some potential cause and effect. You're gonna enjoy, if you're like me and you've kind of ignored that aspect of knowledge, this is a great place to start, and it's very well written. Now the next one, we're gonna get into a little philosophy here. As I said at the beginning, these are not new book recommendations. In fact, this one goes back to 1974. It's a book that every single one of you have heard of, 100% of you. And yet I had never read it until very recently. It's titled Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's worth a read. There's a reason it's been around for now almost 50 years. Doesn't have all the answers. It's not necessarily the answer to life. It might provide some great food for thought and some little journeys to take along the way. By the way, there's a workbook that goes with this. The author passed away a few years ago, but there's a workbook that he had not put together, but did give the thumbs up to. I'm reading that now. We'll have a link to that as well if you do like this and want to dig into it further. We've got two left. The next one is a little more in terms of the practical side of life. It's one of the guests that we had on the Catalyst Health, Wellness, and Performance Coaching podcast. And in fact, it's our all-time most popular episode. Morgan Housel, author of The Psychology of Money. This book was not out yet when we interviewed him. It was about to come out. As soon as I got my hands on it, this thing is so good. He addresses how this influences your finances, not just how do the numbers work. There's been that stuff for years. This is, I think, the most exciting book on money I have seen in probably 2 decades. So Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money, outstanding. And we'll have a link to the podcast as well if you want to get that version. Our last book of the year, great way to top things off. You know I'm a Ryan Holiday fan. One of his books made the list last year as well. This one I thought is so apropos for everything we're going through right now as a world, as a society, and it is titled, "The Obstacle is the Way." The basic message behind it, and it's not unique to Ryan, it's an age-old message, but we need this reminder that oftentimes when we see an obstacle, it's not the stopping point, it's not the wall, it's the door, it's the opportunity, if we tune into what that might be. That's our Catalyst book list for the year ahead. 7 books that will change your life and allow you to have an impact on others as well. Enjoy it. We'll have links to everything down below. You can tap into those. Now let's go be a catalyst.